And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing all right. Thought I might be driving through snow. Not driving through snow. So I think everybody's going to have to go to school today would be my guess. Sorry.
Well, around here, you never know. Sometimes the threat of snow or sometimes they just look at it and say, yeah, why not?
That's true.
Just cancel it.
That is true. I'm going to guess not today.
Probably not today.
But it'll happen soon. You're right. The theory of snow.
Yeah.
It's like Lane Kiffin. You know, I have a national championship team, but the idea of the better national championship teams I'll have at LSU, yeah, let's go do that.
It's eluding over there. Ian Safar, how we doing?
Oh, good morning, guys.
What's going on?
Yep, it was pretty clear on my way in. Nothing too crazy as far as drive. Another issue with the ESPN app last night. Tried to turn on the football game around 7:20. Oh yeah, the game starts. Let me get that on my phone while I get the bath ready for the kiddos. Once again, nothing.
No dice, huh?
So, I missed the first quarter to finally decide to kick on.
The app, not
the streaming app. It's driving me crazy.
That sucks, man.
Not against Fred.
How many apps? Are there any apps that work?
It's a good question.
Robby and I were watching that the bowling alley last night.
We were.
Yeah.
We were at the George Plaster's bowling event. Mitch in Bellevue, loyal listener, was out there bowling like a 260.
Yeah. Shout out Mitch in Bellevue.
Going crazy, like one of the best bowlers I've ever seen. Mitch in Bellevue out there just getting it done.
Like his whole
260, huh?
Dude, his whole lane, they were like, it's like, people are really good at bowling when they got that big hook, Like I like throw almost a screwball, like reverse spin going, and I'm happy to break 100. These dudes are like with the heavy hook.
Oh yeah,
you start it. It's basically coming right on it's right at the edge of the gutter, and then it just comes back in. I mean, it's like
a couple of them showed up
league
with their own ball. That's when I knew we were in trouble.
Yeah,
like, oh boy,
yeah, that's big time. Right,
that's
there.
Not good.
Yeah, hey, I shoot like if I can hit 150, I feel good about my game.
Oh yeah,
I don't even know if I've done that. Maybe once or twice. I'm 120. I hit 120 once of two. Broke 100 twice. Fine.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Shout out to Western Kentucky for my 1 credit hour of sports bowling.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's how you do it.
Gentry, who we're gonna have on later, also took bowling in college. He was on my lane last night. We were talking about that. Back then, you just like go bowl and like smoke cigarettes and stuff. In college.
Yeah, we didn't.
That's how they do it down at UGA. That's how they do it in Athens.
And Bowling Green, they had like a little lane in the community center.
Yeah.
So we just go up there. I believe his name was Troy. Used to
Professor Troy.
Yeah, used to be on the circuit. So yep.
Nice.
I keep hoping to run into a bowling alley, and this happened to me last night, but it wasn't exactly the Pete Weber I was looking for. Like I was looking, walking in the bowling alley, Pete Weber. I saw Pete Weber last night. It was not the professional bowler. It's an absolute psychopath out there.
Another famous Pete Weber.
Yeah.
We need to get those Pete Webers together at some
we
point,
do. We do.
That would be good.
Be a heck of a story time between the two of them.
No doubt.
We got a lot going on today on the program. Gentry, as Joe mentioned, will be with us at 7 o'clock. We got a lot of stuff to get into with him. We will get into Vanderbilt and the college football playoff. We're going to find out basically, I think, tonight, Joe, whether or not they're going to be in because, I guess there's a chance that the committee next week could move things around and change their mind, but it kind of feels like if Vanderbilt's not in a good spot tonight, they're probably not going to be in a good spot this time next week.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's the idea of, okay, at the very end now but first of all, they should be doing that every week. And, Vanderbilt just added what should be a helpful data point. It's, there's a lot to that. It's like, does Tennessee fall out of the top 25? So essentially, again, Vanderbilt doesn't get like credit for something that, Vanderbilt put out we'll get into some of it. They put out a very good 2-page campaign letter basically about why they should be in. And that's, again, I said it yesterday, like the history is it has limitations, but no one does what they did to Tennessee in that stadium. I think that's something worth pointing out too, including, again, Georgia, Oklahoma, scratching out wins in that place, and Vanderbilt went in there and didn't, and thumped them. That's something I would talk up a little bit too if I was them.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll get into that a little bit later this hour. We'll get into Mark Stoops being fired by Kentucky. We didn't get into that much yesterday because of all the other stuff that's been swirling around out there, but we will get into that later in the show. I've got a Tennessee Vol quarterback hypothetical scenario I want to play out. And we'll get into Mike Borgonzi. I just wonder if you'd have told him that things would play out this way, both with the team and the quarterback at this point before the season, what would his thoughts have been? We'll get into all that later in the show. But we begin on some comments from Jeffery Simmons after the game on Sunday, a 25-3 loss for the Titans against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jeffery Simmons, a couple times this year has had some interesting post-game sessions. And I think back to, basically the J.C. Latham stuff. And I know that he didn't come out and like outright say that after the game, but the Mike Silver report earlier in the year of him stopping practice and saying, hey, this ain't quite good enough. Let's get this stuff turned around. A couple weeks ago, he's essentially calling out J.C. Latham after the game. And Sunday, the conversation, you could see basically an exasperated Jeffery Simmons after the game that's tired of talking about all this stuff. But it got on the subject of leadership, coaching moving forward, the culture around the Titans. Here's what Jeffery Simmons had to say after the game on Sunday.
Arden alluded to some factor that you couldn't speak on that has, I guess, impacted either this game or the results. I imagine you don't want to speak on it either, but what can you say about maybe the attitude or environment around the team right now?
We need to figure something out. I mean, we got 5 games left for sure, but we got to figure it out. I mean, once we get through this season, I mean, we got to do a lot of self-reflecting. And whoever come in to be this head coach is, we need somebody who's gonna lead this football team. Yeah, I mean, that's it. We got to figure it out.
When you say you need somebody who's going to lead this football team,
we'll figure that out when I was season. But like I said, we got 5 more games, and like I said, hopefully we get somebody in here that, the culture and everything have to be better around here. But we'll figure that out when we get to that. We got 5 more games left.
So what did you make of those comments from Jeffery Simmons, Joe, who I think clearly at one point in that kind of stopped himself from saying more than he actually did there in that answer? What did you make of what Simmons had to say there?
Yeah, you can definitely take that to frustration with Mike McCoy and what's going on. I think you could read into that some. It's probably like the same stuff we talk about. I'm sure the players are like, guys, what are we're one and whatever.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Also, I actually feel bad that no one informed Jeff there that they are it's not just for sure. It is for sure. It is this. You have 5 games. There's no other game after the 5 games.
No, that's it.
You are actually mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
Right,
So just
no
in case there
playoffs
was
coming.
that's gone. But I kind of agree with what Corey said yesterday, which is I think it's just a big picture frustration, and he's got to got 5 more games of this stuff, man. 5 more weeks, 5 more games. And, when you talk about culture, what is the biggest? Of course, culture can lead to winning, but if you have good players and win games, it's amazing how much better your culture is.
Oh, yeah.
Because people aren't pissed at each other because they suck, Yep.
I
mean, that's that is if you're good at football and win football games, you can have some jerks in your locker room and it'll be fine. Culture will be fine. You guys are winning. Everybody's good. And then you're this bad. It's got to be really, really hard to have a good culture. It's just, and I understand a coach would say, no. It's culture that dictates that. And I'm going to say, I'm sure you're a great coach. I'm going to give you all crap players, and then you do all your culture stuff and then lose every week and tell me how good your culture is. It won't be good. I mean, people hate losing.
Yeah.
Everybody here is a competitor. So I think that's what it is with you. I take it mostly as just a big picture frustration. But, yeah, it seems like McCoy just seems to be bothering everybody, not just Kaharski. Kaharski's not the only one who seems to be annoyed by McCoy.
No, it doesn't seem that way. And I can't help but go back and again, how much does this actually mean when it comes to, they're a 1-11 football team. So like you said, when you're this bad, everything's wrong with your organization, right? But I did, the first thing he starts talking about with the coach is, nobody with the coach keeps talking about like, well, we need some great X's and O's guy coming in here. We need somebody that comes in and knows what he's doing. Borgonzi going back to his press conference, Jeffery Simmons in that clip there. There have been other kind of inklings about it all throughout the organization of leadership. Like we need a leader coming in here. And I mean, I guess you could take that as a Mike McCoy thing if you want to. I mean, I would include Brian Callahan in that as well. Like it's pretty clear that everybody from Borgonzi to Simmons to I'm sure a lot of other guys in that locker room who frankly are not in the position that Simmons is in to be able to speak on some of this stuff feel like this is a team that's basically been without leadership from the coaching position. And I don't know, it just keeps coming up over and over again from positions of power in this organization to the point where it's pretty hard to ignore that clearly they feel like there's been a lack of necessary leadership from the head coaching position, whether that's McCoy, whether that's Brian Callahan, whoever.
Yeah. Now the question, and I see some people are even writing about this out there, talking about it a lot, is like, have the Titans quit on Mike McCoy? And I just were the Titans ever like, let's win one for Mike McCoy?
I don't think so.
Yeah, again, I just don't. I do not
Probably
buy
not.
that. I do not buy that in pro sports. I really don't. I mean, I think you can have a stronger feeling for or against a coach or whatever, but again, these guys. Simmons is not one of these guys. He's a guy who's a star, and he's going to be here next year, and he's going to be leading the way in whatever they do. But like these guys, I mean, most of the guys in the Tennessee Titans have plenty at stake personally right now in every week of what they're putting on film. So I just, I think they're frustrated. I think they're bad. They were a terrible Sunday. So I understand the whole. I mean, I heard D-Mace yesterday, and he said they looked like they quit.
Yeah.
I do think it's got to be. It's like quit is a strong word. You get this late in the year, it's got to be tough, right?
Well, and the backdrop of all this is they suck.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's you get this late in the year, you're 1-11. Yeah, you're not. You don't like your interim coach. You're not. You don't think about whatever. But like ultimately, isn't it just that? That's that. Like everybody else along with this entire ride, it just feels like an endless slog.
So we'll take your thoughts on what Jeffery Simmons had to say about the culture of the Titans, the leadership, what he's looking for in a head coach moving forward. We'll get into all that coming up next. Take your thoughts as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Joe, the conversation on the text line has very quickly shifted to Mike Vrabel.
Not us.
Well,
we didn't bring it up. You guys
establish
brought it up.
We did not even mention his name.
We've been sitting here to mind our own business trying to talk about your Tennessee Titans.
Wesley Clarksville said, depressing knowing Vrabel has more wins as Patriots coach than the Titans have had in 3 seasons. JD says, one thing I think we can all clearly agree on is that Vrabel was most definitely the issue. LOL, probably not. But he did need someone to help him keep him in check because he was terrible at hiring coaches. Lenny says, Patriots coach, pretty good leader. Maybe we can get somebody like him.
They showed him a lot on the sideline in last
Stash
night's
is looking
game.
strong.
I'll show you that. I'll tell you that much.
What a lovely stash. Movember's over, Mike. Shave that thing. No, don't shave that thing. Vrabel. I mean, they're sitting here. So he's going to be coach of the year, right?
Well, it's going to be him. I mean, Ben Johnson is in the running right now.
Yeah, that's true. Ben Johnson would. I mean, I still think that reality's coming for them. Your Packers,
We'll find out.
Can they,
Hopefully accelerate.
please save us all and start delivering reality. But yeah, that's
Vrabel's he's going to be in the mix.
and like I mean, look, they got Buffalo at home, at Baltimore, at the Jets, Miami at home. Like, I mean, the Buffalo game is massive. Like it's what is it them or the Broncos for the 1 seed in the AFC? Wild.
Yeah. Apparently neither one of them could lose. So, I mean, the Broncos keep trying to lose and they just don't.
God,
I thought they were going to get beat by Marcus the other night.
Yeah, no, they should have.
Marcus and Burks.
Yeah, exactly. Can't handle that combo. I mean, the AFC is like one of those two is going to get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, barring something pretty surprising here, and yet I don't really think either of them is that good.
Yeah,
I mean, New England. I think more of New England than Denver, but maybe Denver's D is legit.
That may be a hot take.
Yeah, Denver's D is legit for sure. Denver's D is great. I definitely think more of Drake May in that offense than I do of Bo. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. War Eagle.
Yeah. No, Drake May's legitimately good. I guess I should have figured that when we were talking about leadership as a coach, the conversation would immediately shift back to Vrabel.
Yeah.
I just now moving like who's out there, because I know people when you start talking about the next head coach and leadership, like Saleh comes up immediately. And look, again, I don't necessarily hate the idea of Robert Saleh, and I understand he was with the New York Jets, so maybe you do just take his first part of his head coaching tenure and just wipe it completely clean because it's the New York Jets. And we've seen not only coaches with examples of that, but players that have been with the Jets that haven't done anything, that have gone elsewhere, that have played really well. Frankly, kind of similar to here when we're talking about that. I mean, Saleh's record's pretty bad with the Jets. So there is that too to keep in mind. How much of the New York Jets tax do we just give it? Is it just completely we don't pay attention to it at all because he's with the Jets, or because Saleh, I think a lot of, I'll put it to you this way. If the coaching process, when this all started, when they fired Brian Callahan, if you would have told Titans fans that Robert Saleh was the guy they ended up with, I think a lot of people would have said, what? Robert Saleh? And I think as time has gone on and what he's done in San Francisco, people have really talked themselves into that being a pretty good outcome for the Titans.
But that's the thing. And he's been my favorite, but he also might just be one of those guys who is just a great coordinator.
Yeah.
Like that happens. Talking about Lane Kiffin, the late Monty Kiffin. There's a guy who was always a great D coordinator. That's just what he was, like everybody wants him to be their D coordinator. I think he was like the head coach of NC State in the early 80s, but other than that, that's what he was. So yeah. There, and also the way Saleh handled, he definitely, some of the media stuff there with all that, and he's like, we're going to find out who it's like, he did not handle some of the stuff that can come with this job. Now that obviously, that media core, the massive New York media core, all that stuff, like it's more challenging than probably a lot of places because you have so many people, so many things to try to handle, get your arms around. But yeah, it wasn't a great look. He'd still be my favorite. I mean, there's interesting, Albert Breer, put out a little thing on the Titans coach. Did you see this?
No.
So he put out a thing the other day on, it was like a couple of graphs and talking about a lot of the usual suspects and, McDaniel or McCarthy and Nagy and all those guys. But he also said the Titans have at least discussed Jesse Minter, who, of course, is the D coordinator for Harbaugh, who was here at Vanderbilt under Clark Lee not long ago.
Yep.
Who at the time I was like, is this guy 17 years old? But good D coordinator, but also it's like, man, that would just to me be like quite a leap. It seems like, but he's done well as a coordinator. And then Chris Shula also. And again, these are very young guys who are kind of new on the scene. Kind of surprising to see those names. But at the same time, I mean, the discussion of candidates, to me, it's like you should discuss a lot of people, and you should be open to different kinds of people.
Well, I mean, I guess that's if you're looking for a benefit of firing Brian Callahan when you did, if you're the Titans, you've had some time here to really piece together your coaching search if you're Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker and all those guys.
Yes, you have. Yeah. So now you could have spent that time courting Lane, It could have been up here that he was flying into. But
God, can you imagine?
I'd take back all the mean things I said about him if he just come coach the Titans just for the entertainment value for the 2 years he'd be here before getting fired. But, they've had plenty of time.
With this owner, maybe not even 2 years.
Well,
it's like, wow, Lane was here for 6 weeks. Get fired.
Oh, God. Some of the stuff that's been coming out about Lane, boy. Don't go to the Ole Miss message boards if you don't want to think badly of him.
Stuff out there. One texter says, I just love how we've come full circle as a fan base. We wanted a coach that was anti-Vrabel and offensive head coach. And now that we see him with the Patriots, we want Vrabel 2.0.
Yeah.
That's how it goes in the NFL.
I will say, though, I use them as an example. We haven't even, you haven't even enjoyed or given us your love for Matt LaFleur. They're the Packers.
They did a great job last week.
Packers go and beat the Lions' ass on Thanksgiving, as I told you, as the Lions will not make the playoffs, as I told you all before the season.
You did.
I will say, great culture coach. Loses coordinator.
Talking about Dan Campbell.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the example of if you start messing around at coordinator, it can. And there's other things, of course, with them. There's always things with talent and all that stuff. But, I mean, it is kind of a good reminder for people. And, again, that's where Vrabel seems to be in great shape because he's going to just have his OC locked in there. No one's going to try to give that dude a head coaching job ever again. But that's the thing. So Saleh comes in here. If you love, the McDaniel thing with him.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a long-term thing because I don't know if McDaniel would be anybody's head coaching candidate anytime soon, but that is the problem with the culture coach versus the play calling coach. You just have to make the right choice. And you also have to have players who can play. That would help. Let's
head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Ryan to the program. Ryan, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Hey, last night, Robby is definitely the better bowler than Joe, I think.
Wow.
Robby.
Well, were you watching me bowl?
A little bit, not much, but a little bit. But Robby can throw it down there and get a strike, just about every time.
Okay.
Well, that's definitely
Robby
not true, but that's okay.
Yeah, because I saw you got a 128, right? Which was good.
Yeah.
I got a 127 on the same game.
Well, by that
you
math,
beat me, technically.
Look, it's hilarious that we're talking about either one of us being good at bowling when I threw out Mitch and Bellevue earlier. He was just rolling strikes every time out there.
He's laughing at all of us.
Is it too early to talk to draft?
I mean, at this point, probably not. It's December, so I guess we're getting there.
My ideal draft class for the first 3 picks for the Titans, trade down and get a good defensive end, Jeremiah Love, and then get Chris Razzle, the UT wide receiver. They need playmakers on offense bad. I mean, if they need young leadership for sure. If we're talking leadership like Jeffery Simmons is talking about, so I mean, they need young leadership bad, if you ask me. So,
Yep. Thank you,
fun
Ryan.
night last night. So, have a good one, guys.
Appreciate you,
Thanks,
man.
Ryan.
Yep. Well, they need a lot of things. I think that's the overriding theme with this team right now.
It is funny that he mentioned that, though, because Gentry and I, as I said, we're on the same lane, and he mentioned if there's some sort of trade down, Jeremiah Love. I mean, I'm not the running back thing.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, like dude, that dude's gonna be good in this league.
615-737-1025, our phone number. God, we've gotten back to the Titans need Vrabel 2.0 and get a dominant running back in there.
There we go.
How quickly things come back to reality here for the Tennessee Titans. So we'll continue to take your thoughts on the Titans. We will get into the college football playoff rankings coming out tonight. That it's coming up next. Where does Vanderbilt stack up? And is tonight when we're going to find out whether they're in the college football playoff or not. We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We got Gentry Estes from the Tennessean coming up at 7 o'clock. We got a lot of stuff to get into with Gentry, so looking forward to that conversation a little bit later in the program. Taking your thoughts. Jared on the YouTube chat says, if the Titans wait until the third pick to get a wide receiver, I may gouge my eyes out with a spoon. That's from Jared on the YouTube chat. Protect the eyes. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah,
But I tend to agree. I think wide receivers should be pretty high. On the
it
priority
should
list.
be. It should be. But playmaker. Think of it in terms of playmakers. Okay. You could think of that in terms of tight ends.
Sure.
Not to get our listeners who continue to still talk about Brock Bowers excited and riled up, but I'm just saying they're playmakers, people who skill players who make a difference and shift a defense and change the like they don't have anyone. They have a guy in DK who obviously is a special teams guy for sure, is that, and we'll see at receiver. But I'd say at any of those positions where you have the ball in your hands, playmakers.
Well, by the way, can I make something else I think pretty clear? And I've seen others talk about this. I saw Blake Bedingfield talk about this, and I've kind of felt this way for a while. But the idea earlier in the year that it's like, well, just find your number one because your number two and your number three wide receivers are taken care of in DK and Io Manor. No, they're not. Io Manor is not he's like a number 4 receiver.
Yeah.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's like this idea earlier in the year, there's like, just feed Io Manor because he's going to be like your wide receiver 2. Like, no, he's not.
No, probably not. I mean, he's a rookie. He's been hurt. You've seen some stuff from him. Like,
I'm not trying to pile on him. Or anything,
I think he could be better than a number 4 receiver, but we'll see. In the meantime, yeah, I mean,
I guess
you have to get a 1.
If you think you're set, you just need one guy because you've got everything else figured out with those two. No,
I agree. I mean, I think you need to draft a number 1 guy, and then like after that, it's kind of like, it'd be great, if it's somewhere later in the draft, but there's so many other needs. Free agency, you can get yourself you can get yourself a 3-4 in free agency any year.
Yeah.
Right. Just have to make right choices and not bring in guys who turn out to be past. Like, it's incredible how often this happens here. Where it's like, oh, actually that guy didn't have much left. And then, then they go somewhere else and
right.
They actually do have something left and they make ridiculous catches and stuff like that. But that's just sort of what's happening with the Tennessee Titans.
Ridiculous catches and then, get up and don't get hurt.
Yeah. Just run back to the sideline. Yay, I'm good.
Wow. Pretty healthy out there
Marcus,
after making that catch.
You're amazing.
Good stuff. Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in Tim to the program. Tim, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, morning, guys. I think the Titans are a really bad team. And I guess the Patriots are okay. And, we like to compare ourselves against the Patriots right now. They're having a great year, but I think context matters. And the Patriots have, the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my life. And just going through it, they just last night played their 9th team with a record under 500. They also have 2 more still. They're going to end up with 11 games played against teams under 500. Now, the Patriots are bad last year, so they should have an easy schedule, right? But how did the Titans get so unlucky? They have only played 2 teams with a record under 500 to this point. They 1-1 in those games. They should have 2 more with the Browns and Saints, so we'll see. But, man, what if the Titans and Cam Ward had that Patriots schedule this year? I wonder if the discourse, the conversation would be the same about how bad the team is and how bad Cam Ward has looked all year. And if it was reversed, if Drake May would be looking the same against a bunch of the teams that we've had to play this year.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Tim.
You did see the Patriots come in here and beat the Titans 31-13, right? I mean, he's right that we were talking about this during a break. Like, they have had an incredibly easy schedule. They also won at Buffalo. They also won at Tampa Bay. And they are way, way, way better than the freaking Tennessee Titans. Well, the Tennessee Titans suck. Can we all agree on this?
The Patriots are good. How good are they? I don't know, right? They very well could end up getting the number 1 seed in the AFC. And are they that good? I don't know that they're that good. But
no, I don't think they're number 1 seed good. No.
The schedule is what it is. Like, there's no doubt they've had an easy schedule. Look, some of the Titans schedule also comes back to bad luck, like it's bad luck that Indianapolis is pretty good, that Jacksonville has turned out to be pretty good, right? Like it's just part of the luck in the NFL. Now, I would also say, the Titans have played the Raiders, who are, functioning without a pulse out there.
Who beat the Patriots,
and
by the way.
somehow beat the Patriots in week 1. But they lost that game. And again, like the one game the Titans have won, it took almost a divine miracle for that to happen. So,
so it wouldn't be
frankly, I don't think it matters who the Titans play right now.
Now, would it be different on the Patriots if they didn't have a last place schedule? Yeah, I'm sure it would be. Would it be different for the Titans? No, it would not be different. And even
the Browns suck, and I think we're getting ready to see that that's not going to go well for the Titans.
Right. I mean, like to your point, Jags, teams in the Colts in this division are better than we thought. Even if they were about what we thought, they'd still beat the Titans. It just maybe wouldn't be 25-3. It'd be like 18-6. I mean, it's just like there's no spinning like what the Titans are. They are there. But I agree, the Patriots are a little bit of a paper tiger. I think the Broncos are a little bit too, and it's going to be one of those two as the 1 seed, and then. Like, is it the Bills? Is it the Chiefs? Is it the Ravens that's going to go into one of those places and win? I mean, that's what I expect.
I mean, the more this continues to shake out, the more I think that you may end up being a genius, and that the Ravens just find their way through here after starting 1-5.
They could. I mean, I just watched them the other night get destroyed at home by the Bengals, so I don't know.
Well, Burrow back in there giving them some juice.
That does matter. I guess it's
Lamar looks off.
Yeah, well, he's killed my fantasy team. I mean, both of my fantasy leagues have just fallen apart. I think I didn't even look. I assume I didn't make the playoffs. Oh, I killed Huskies.
No, I think you made the playoffs.
I did make the playoffs with that crap team?
I think your son lost, and that helped you.
Oh, good. Well, he beat me, which really pissed me off. All right, let's go, Lamar. But seriously, Lamar, he has been off. Like, it's been bad. Why?
Robby and I are in line for a bye week, so see if that holds up in the fantasy football league.
Bully for you.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, you're in last place. And
by the way, it's going to hold up.
Yeah.
I ain't lost but one time all year.
One time?
Yeah, it's going to hold up.
You beat me like a point, dude. I'm going to get you in the playoffs.
I
can't believe I'm in the playoffs. I'm so excited.
Liam says, we're not that far away, guys. We just need a left tackle, a right guard, a wide receiver 1, a couple great corners, an edge rusher or 3, maybe a right tackle, a head coach that can change the culture, and a new owner. This is from Liam.
Hey!
Text line.
What?
It's going well.
Got a new stadium, though.
It's true.
New stadium. Gonna get a Super Bowl.
Here's a great question that, is kind of sums up where the Titans are right now. Jared from Spring Hill on the text line. Will Myles Garrett have more sacks than the Titans have points on Sunday? I tend to lean yes.
Good God. So what is he at 19? So what does he need? Like 3 to set the 2.5, 3? Set the
record's 22.5.
And he's 19.
He is, I believe, at 19, but I will double
just
check
19 that. Even?
He's at 19 even.
Okay. So he needs 4 sacks.
Yeah,
he's got a shot.
He's got a shot.
He's got a shot. I mean, that's
I mean, wouldn't that kind of be fitting for the Titans with the way things have gone with the offensive line? Is to you need to be the team that gives up the single season sack record. I think it probably adds up.
Yeah, it adds up. Yeah, no, he's got a real shot. No, that's again, the Browns are bad, and I mean Shador has been okay, but the offense isn't doing a lot. Obviously, we have the Shador Cam thing, but But I don't think they're going to do much against the Titans offensively. Not because the Titans are great. I just don't think the Browns are good on offense. But yeah, 3 points for the Titans. No touchdowns for the Titans. It's on the table.
Oh, it's 100% on the table. And, as multiple people have brought up on the text line, we keep talking about all these positions and playmakers, and I agree with everybody throwing it out there that they need wide receivers and running backs. But you know what the scary truth may end up being, and I don't know that you can address it this year. I mean, they very well may need to, in the not too distant future, circle right back around to offensive tackle on the offensive line. Be that left tackle, be that right tackle, be that both. I don't know what that means right now.
I know it's incredibly depressing, and it will be infuriating if and when it happens. But yeah, I like Dan Moore's short term anyway. Like you knew that kind of anyway. But like if Latham doesn't turn it around, then yeah, I mean, really, you're talking about 2 tackles that you're in pretty short order going to need to find. I mean, it's unbelievable, but it is true.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We will get into the college football playoff going next. I think Titans fans needed to vent a little bit there, so we're glad we provided an outlet for that. We'll get into Vanderbilt coming up next. Gentry Estes at 7 o'clock. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. The college football playoff rankings coming out tonight. We'll see where Vanderbilt lands. Joe, it feels like if they don't make significant progress in tonight's rankings, that the college football playoff is probably a pipe dream at that point. I mean, I guess there's the chance that they get to the end of conference championship weekend next weekend and they just reevaluate everything and move things around after that. But I would find that to be unlikely. And frankly, as you pointed out earlier, it should not be the way that it goes. So we'll see what that looks like. But it kind of feels like tonight is when we're going to find out whether or not Vanderbilt's got a legitimate shot to be in the college football playoff. What do you think about that? How do you expect the rankings to go tonight? I mean, I would assume that the Tennessee wins at least enough to pass Utah, and then we'll see after that.
Yeah. It's unless they – I mean, I think Vanderbilt's done a good job of making its case. I know that Candace Lee talked yesterday. Clark, I think so. Clark Lee has talked. He's been out there. That's what you got to do. If you're any of these teams, you got to be out there. Clark Lee's been out there. Candace Lee's been out there. I think Clark Lee's doing something today also. So and they put out a little fact sheet, which I thought was good and made one of the points that I've made, and I think that they seized on it, and it's a good point to make, which is, I think I've probably talked about this probably many times, but I've done the basketball mock thing where they have media come in and do the mock thing. And absolutely the conversation when you get to some of these teams around the bubble, like it is like you look at, do they have a great player who can elevate the team, who can carry a team to a win? You're trying to find teams who can win in the tournament. And obviously it just isn't apples to apples, right? When we're talking about basketball and football, but Pavia is that guy. Pavia has been used against them in the I think it was Mac Rhodes still. Yeah. When people were asking earlier about Notre Dame and Vanderbilt. I think Topmeyer asked a question and wrote the column that basically helmet scouting is helping Notre Dame be ranked ahead of Vanderbilt. And, Mac Rhodes is like, well, they certainly, basically Pavia is carrying a bad team. Whereas, again, when they talk about some other teams, they talk about, this quarterback, it's just a great quarterback. This is part of a great team, But look, Vanderbilt's arguably the number one offense in college football, number one in yards per play, number one in points per drive. Yards per play is if there's one stat that because it takes out tempo and everything, it's just like, how effective are you? Yards per play, number one in the country. Yep. 7.54 yards per play, which is an absurd number. Again, against the schedule they played, some of the teams they played end up not being good. Even some of the teams they played that weren't that good, like LSU and Auburn, have really good defensive numbers in the SEC. It's a legit offense. So that's some of the case they make. But again, it's just and Vanderbilt's making the case on this thing, that they started out unranked and some of that stuff. I don't know how important that really is. If you really look at it, Vanderbilt in the AP poll got up to number 9 this year.
Yeah.
Then they lost a couple games. I mean, so Vanderbilt shot up into the rankings quickly enough, and then you lose those games, and then you fall down a little bit. I mean, I think that there's some helmet scouting. There's some natural bias that comes into this. I'm sure with some of those committee members are like Vanderbilt. Also, I think SEC, I think with some people, they don't like the SEC. And so I think there's a natural tendency to also be like, anytime an SEC team can get left out, people are like, good. Like in the Big Ten country, it's like, yes, leave out an SEC team. So they've got that going against them. But again, they also have some realities of their resume against teams ahead of them.
They do. I mean, look, I think it's going to be a tough hill to climb. In order for them to get in, it's going to require, I think, the committee to do a deeper dive on Vanderbilt than they've done to this point, to be quite frank with you. And are they going to do it? I don't know. They should. They should really take a look. I mean, look, the way they came in and just absolutely thumped Tennessee should matter. And I know at the end of this, I guess we'll see tonight, but at the end of this, Tennessee may not end up being a ranked win for Vanderbilt. But I think we know, Tennessee's a good team. They're not a great team, but they're a good team. I mean, they should have beat Georgia. They should have beat Oklahoma. And I know you can play the shoulda game a lot in college football, but as you pointed out earlier, walking into Neyland Stadium and winning by the margin Vanderbilt won by, is a really, really tough thing to do in today's college football.
Yeah, it should change them. It should make people stand up and notice. And you just hope it doesn't turn into, oh, well, all along Tennessee was just bad. And actually they're 8-4 and they haven't had any good wins. And this gets into, I watched the Tennessee-Georgia game. I know that's not true. Shoot, I watched the Tennessee-Alabama game. And Alabama, I mean, Tennessee and Vanderbilt both screwed up those games with huge mistakes, huge turnovers, you know? I mean, I think they both can play with that Alabama team without question. Tennessee, we saw them play with that Georgia team. That's going to be potentially a top 4 seed, you know? So that's what you have to get into. And if you want to simplify it and just say top 25 wins, all that stuff, resume, okay, you can. And if that's the case, then like they're going to come up short. But it seems like there's some look at how this team is playing. How could you leave them out when they look at Notre Dame? If you're going to play that game, then you should play that game with Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. But as we've seen with this committee, it's from explanation to explanation, from team to team. The requirements seem to shift and are different. And that's not a Vanderbilt thing. That's a college football playoff committee thing that's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, it just comes down to, you hope those people look. These people they do watch games. They do break down film. It's fun to make fun of it, actually. But like they have coaches on the committee, former coaches on the committee. Like this idea that they just show up and that's not true. They spend a lot of time on it. Well, you need to you spend time really talking through Vanderbilt. Everybody's making their case right now. I mean, look, if it's just your general college football fan, and that mattered at all, my God, the difference between having to watch Oklahoma in this playoff and getting to watch Vanderbilt in this playoff, it's a big difference. I also think there are people just out there in general, again, who have this Vanderbilt, I mean, they are as fun to watch as any team, and it stinks to think that they're not going to be in this thing, but yeah, it'll be a bit of an earth shaker if they're actually in position tonight when those rankings come out.
You know what would really help in this discussion? If we weren't just handing a spot to Tulane, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. That's the breaks. You know what's funny is if Duke beats Virginia,
oh God,
it's Tulane. But then also I think James Madison gets in because the ACC won't even have a champion ranked high enough to get into the freaking playoff. What are you going to do with 2 group of 5 teams? But the thing is, like, I think that both of those teams could beat Duke. I mean, that's the sad reality. I mean, you're locked into some things. Yeah, like I'm not listening to any, like the group of 5 needs to be part of it. If the playoff is this big, it has to be.
Why?
Because college football
are they good enough or are they not?
How much has college football screwed itself with everything that's gone on and trying to condense it and trying to give less opportunity? Okay, well, you give opportunity.
Well, be good enough to earn the opportunity. Yeah. There have been plenty of examples over the years, whether it's undefeated Boise State teams, 1-loss, really good teams. There have been group of 5 teams out there where you can make that argument. There's not that team this year. It does not exist.
Well, actually, the team that I think could come into this thing and actually potentially win games is South Florida if they screwed it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Them's the breaks. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I think that's always got to be part of the field.
We've just lost it on this, though. Like, it's the expansion of the playoff should have been to give them a chance, because we all knew that the 4 team, they were never getting in. It doesn't matter if they went undefeated. It doesn't matter. Well, with a 12 team, and we're eventually going to get bigger, and we know that, you've got a shot to play your way in, but you shouldn't just be handed a spot. And this year is a perfect example of why, because there's no team out there in the group of 5 that is worthy of a playoff spot this year. Not one.
I will again go to basketball, which is
completely different.
Yeah, but it's 68 spots and 31 are auto bids, and then you take the power leagues out, and so it's like 25 teams out of the 68 are teams just like you're saying, who some of them are good enough, some of them aren't, but they get those spots, and that's how it should be.
Well, Gentry Estes from the Tennessee. I feel like we're going to be arguing about this for like a year. Gentry Estes from the Tennessean coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on Vanderbilt, get his thoughts on where Tennessee goes from here. I guess we'll get his thoughts on the Titans too. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. And we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. Gentry, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. A little sore from the bowling last night.
I was going to ask you.
Not as bad as I thought it'd be.
Did you ice down? Did you stretch? How we doing this morning?
It's just feeling nice and old. Nothing like it. Nothing like a little exercise to show you how old you are.
High-level athleticism on display last night.
What happened?
Let me tell you.
That is what happened. So, Gentry, the college football playoff rankings out tonight, and I think we're going to find out pretty much everything we need to know about the kind of chance Vanderbilt's got to make this thing. Obviously, an incredibly impressive win against Tennessee, particularly how dominant they were in the second half. How do you think things are going to shake out on the Vanderbilt front? What's your chances that Vanderbilt could get some good news tonight on the college football playoff ranking front?
Well, I just looked at the ESPN playoff predictor for joining you guys, and I think they have Vandy at 6%. So that's probably a good number. I mean, I hate it for Vanderbilt. I do. I mean, it's a shame to think that team, with the season they had and the way they're playing right now, is not going to get a chance in a playoff. But I do think that's how this is going to go. And I've kind of thought for a few weeks now that this is how it was going to go. Credit Vanderbilt for making this difficult, for playing probably their best football here the last couple of weeks. And I think, with how they played it in Knoxville, I think that should give the committee something to think about. And it will be interesting tonight to see if that moved the needle or how much it did. But what got Vanderbilt here was Oklahoma. Oklahoma winning games in Knoxville and Tuscaloosa. They won in Tuscaloosa in particular. And it's just set up to where every argument you could make for Vanderbilt versus any SEC team, there's a pretty strong argument back the other direction just because of the results. Oklahoma winning in Tuscaloosa, Vanderbilt not doing it. And this is a flawed system. These guys this committee is going to try. They're going to have to make logical decisions based off illogical information, things that aren't fair. And that's just what we have right now. And certain teams each year are going to have this happen to them. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be Vanderbilt this year.
When you look at the situation, and I agree with everything you said, I think, again, like Oklahoma, watch them. Then after they did what they did what you just said, they come home and just win these games against Missouri and LSU that are just like complete, like just assault on the eyes, just awful to watch. But they won them. They found a way to win them. So I think you're right. I mean, the resume is better in terms of their wins, obviously. But do you think that any of this is related to, because this is what I hear from Vanderbilt fans. One, the helmet scouting, it's Vanderbilt, the natural bias against just the idea that Vanderbilt would be good. And two, the fact that they started the season sort of unranked and out of mind.
I do think there's something to that, especially when you talk about a Notre Dame or a big brand like that, or Oklahoma too. But I think the bias here is against the SEC from the standpoint of they don't want to give half the field to the SEC. And I understand that. I do understand from a national perspective that there's just going to be resistance in general, no matter what it looks like, to having 6 SEC teams in this tournament. And that was kind of what you look at it all along and say, Vanderbilt's issue is not going to be getting in the top 12. It's going to be getting in the top 5 of the SEC. And whether or not that's fair, whether or not you're really choosing the best 12 teams when you do that, I mean, there's a lot of arguments to be made there. Back before the season, we all hated the idea of automatic bids for the conferences. When the Big Ten wanted to do that, and we didn't like that. No one liked that. But what I do think is, something like this could make people start coming around on that kind of thing, only because look at this weekend. You have an SEC championship game that both teams really don't even want to play in it. It really, that game has lost all meaning. And the one thing that came out of those discussions or those ideas before the season was the idea of some kind of play-in this weekend instead of an SEC championship game. And if you're what's happening with Vanderbilt right now, I think that's a good argument to have that kind of play in, because I honestly believe nobody in this mix right now would want to play Vanderbilt.
I think that's fair. I will also say though, on that point, that means that we'd have to have a fourth Big Ten team right now, and I sure as hell don't want any other teams out of that league. So,
yeah,
I mean, there's a but yeah, I mean, I'd get rid of all of it and start the playoff earlier over this play-in idea. But I will tell you, I'd rather see Vanderbilt in a play-in than watch these championship games that have no stakes. So it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, right now Georgia would rather not play in this. I mean,
For sure.
and you know why can't in the future, why can't you have those two teams that qualify for the SEC championship game? They're through. Their reward is to not have to play that game and go ahead and advance, and then play, let's say, 2 play-in games, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 on this weekend, and you know it would be interesting to see how that goes.
So on the Tennessee front, Gentry, obviously, I mean, you get thumped by your in-state rival to end the year. You're 8-4. When you look through their schedule, I mean, they really don't have a good win this year. The good teams that they played, they lost to, 3 of which were at home. So how do you put into scope what Tennessee did this season, and where do you think Heupel and company go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you feel okay about this season up until this last game. Up until the second half of this last game. Second half of this last game is the worst Tennessee played maybe all season, especially defensively. I think giving up 45 points to Vanderbilt and watching Pavi and company do what they did in Neyland Stadium, that is a memory that is going to stick with this program all offseason. And I think it's going to affect a lot of what they do, you know, staff-wise, personnel-wise. I think they're going to have to make some changes, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It was disappointing. I think this year was a missed opportunity for Tennessee just because I think the offense, with Joey Aguilar being a lot better than I think anybody would have expected given that situation, the offense was good enough to do better than 8-4. This was an offense this was a playoff offense. It just definitely wasn't a playoff defense. And, you know, I think under Heupel's tenure in Knoxville, that has happened more than it hasn't. And the one year that they had a good defense and a good running game, that is when they made the playoffs. So I think when you're Tennessee, they're going to have to get the defensive part of this figured out. And I know everyone's tired of hearing, gosh, when you play this kind of hurry up offense and the time of possession, and it does put the defense at a disadvantage. It just does. And they're going to have to figure that out.
If you're Josh Heupel right now, are you looking at next year, a critical year, I think we'd all agree, and saying, okay, George McIntyre, Faison Brandon, battle it out. One of them's, they're both really good talents. It's going to be a great competition, and we'll end up with a good quarterback. Or are you saying, man, I cannot mess around. I need to go out and, you know, we need to spend $2 million on a veteran quarterback?
That's a great question. It's a great question. I think, you know, with McIntyre, you bring him in thinking he's going to be ready to be the guy probably by this point, but you also sign a guy as good as the one they're bringing in, thinking he's probably good enough to play right away. So it'd be hard for me to think one of those two wouldn't be ready, but I don't know. I mean, with McIntyre, I mean, you're told he's put on weight, you know, this first season. I'm sure that's true. Gosh, he still looks like he needs to put on some more weight to play in the SEC. I think there's a lot of potential there with him, though, and, you know, obviously a big-time recruit coming in. So I think Tennessee's going to have something to work with there. But we'll find out soon enough on that, and to, you know, that what their true belief on whether McIntyre is ready or not, I think will be reflected by what they do in the portal. Yeah.
Last thing for you, Gentry. Do you have a favorite horror movie? And if not, was Myles Garrett against the Titans qualify for that coming up on Sunday?
Boy, you know, the guys on the beat were looking at the weather in Cleveland for what the travel is going to be like to this game, and it's like frigid and snowy and just, oh man, there's such a reward that you get to watch that game. I don't know if either of y'all were at Nissan on Sunday, but it was, I don't want to say low point because we keep saying low point with this team, and they keep going. It keeps getting worse. So I'm not going to sit here and say it can't get worse because it can. But man, that was just bad, even for them. Just everything about that game was just the most depressing, awful experience. And it's, you just sit there and you look around and there's all these empty seats and the Tennessee fans that are there, they're booing. The other people, everybody in the seats they're either booing or chanting Duval. And it's just, teams playing the way they are. Their only field goal, the only points of the game were a field goal. Everybody booed when they kicked it because they didn't go for fourth down, including the quarterback was upset about that. This is embarrassing. This has gotten embarrassing. And it has been for a while, I guess, but how does this team, the NFL is built to not have a team be this bad.
Yep.
And certainly not for the second year in a row. And I understand coming in, I didn't think they were going to be any good. Nobody thought they would be very good. But it really has gotten embarrassing the Titans have let it go this far. This is a special case in the league to have a team this bad still.
Yeah, there is no doubt about it.
They are special.
They are.
Yeah, that's
They
the word.
are. Gentry, appreciate your time as always, my friend. Enjoy the college football playoff rankings tonight. We'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow, and appreciate you taking time to be with us.
You bet. Take care, guys.
Gentry Estes from the Tennessean does an outstanding job covering all things Nashville sports, really all things Tennessee sports. Taking your thoughts on what Gentry had to say. We'll get into Mark Stoops being shown the door by Kentucky. Plus, what more could we see in the coaching carousel around college football? All that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Appreciate Gentry Estes for being with us in the last segment. Joe, we had a lot to get into yesterday. I mean, the Lane Kiffin drama, Tennessee Vanderbilt, the Titans doing whatever they did on Sunday. A lot of stuff to talk about yesterday. We did not get to Mark Stoops being fired by Kentucky. I know that we have a lot of Kentucky fans that listen to the show, and Mark Stoops has been there since 2013. So you're talking about a long run as head coach at Kentucky. He finishes after 13 years, 162 games, a record of 82-80, and now he is gone. It did not end well. He got blown out by Vanderbilt and smoked by Louisville to end the year, and that is all she wrote for Mark Stoops at Kentucky. And I was talking about this with some friends the other day. I think they owe him like a little bit over $37 million in the next 60 days, which is just sweet. I mean, there's got to be no better job in sports than the fired college football coach. So he's going to be fine. But what do you make of Kentucky moving on from Mark Stoops, hiring Will Stein to be the next head coach?
Well, first of all, he has agreed to – he negotiated that to be extended. So I saw someone tweeted a picture of Bobby Bonilla. So he's not going to get all that money instantly now.
Forget that. I'd go 60 days. I'm not negotiating nothing.
I mean, I think it's like, okay, I'm going to get all of it. Yeah, that's fine. You know, yeah, that's fine. Give me $100 a day
You'd have
for
to
the rest
peel
of
me
my
off
life.
the golf course.
Yeah.
We can't find Robby. He's on hole 8.
Yeah, it is great work to be paid to not coach. Also, I got Mark Stoops on the phone a couple weeks ago after he's this tremendous run to get them back to relevance. And I wrote this column about like how he's unappreciated and like, look at, again, they have this solid foundation and they're tough and like you got to appreciate what he's done. And they get outscored 86-17 in the next 2 games.
Kiss of death.
Great job. But I think it was coming. And look, he was leaving for Texas A&M. And then something happened there with the trustees, and that was actually a little bit of a mini Shiano thing that happened down there, and then that's when Elko got the job. So he's been looking to get out. Obviously, Kentucky, the swiftness of this hire tells me that Kentucky has been kind of preparing for this, right? I mean, I don't think they well, we should have a search. Let's call this guy. You know, it's amazing how many things are done. You know, back to like Michigan State hired Pat Fitzgerald. That guy's like not working, so they were able to just meet him secretly and do all this stuff. But like, meanwhile, you have all these guys doing their job, and they hire like that, and it's like, wow, how'd that happen? I don't know. I mean, Will Stein is a really good OC. I love what Oregon does offensively. He's very creative. He's obviously a smart guy. Is that he also has been at Oregon where like they have tremendous players, and they most weeks are going to overwhelm people with talent along with really creative offense. I mean, I don't know. Is he going to be a good head coach in Kentucky? I'm not sure. Are Kentucky fans excited about that? You know, I'd like to know that. I would hope Kentucky fans can tip their cap to Mark Stoops. I mean, the winningest coach in program history, and he got them to a level of consistency that I would not have expected. And I would also take this another step, Robby. And this is kind of what I wrote in the column too, but you know, Vanderbilt fans, this is something to look at, you know, because Mark Stoops had a couple of those teams that won 10 games, and they had the team that played Georgia, I think it was in 18, like, you know, basically to win the East, you know, and they lost, but he set the bar at a certain place, right? With especially, you know, that first 10-win season. And you know, then you settled into you're probably like a 7-8 win type of program. You know, that's for Kentucky. That's tremendous based on the history, and based on. I mean, people care so much more about their basketball team. Yeah. You know, that's the only SEC team you can say that about. It's something to remember for Vanderbilt because, I mean, I don't think it's realistic to think that Clark Lee is going to be ripping off 10-win seasons over and over again. Like, you know, can he get is the floor raised at Vanderbilt to where you can count on most years getting 6, getting 7, getting to a bowl game, and then you hope that you can rally up for some years where you really have a special team. That's probably the reality. Vanderbilt fans, I think, need to embrace that. And I'm sure some will be like, yeah, no duh, dude. Like, we're not stupid. We're not expecting 10 wins. But I'm just saying, I think at Kentucky, it did get a little bit like, okay, well, what's next? Why can't you do better than this?
Right. I mean, it ended poorly, right? I mean, you 4-8 last year.
Yes.
5-7 this year, and you got smoked the last 2 games. But I mean, he went through, what was it, 8 straight years with a bowl game, and a couple 10-win seasons thrown in there. 8-5, 7-6, 7-6. I mean, at the 1 year in 2020 where he was 5-6, but he still got to a bowl game that year. So, like, it was a pretty good model of consistency for that program. And then it almost felt like at the end of it, he was a victim of his own success. Maybe not even this year, because this year I think, like, it was pretty clear it was pretty toxic. And like you said, he was trying to get out at some point. But I think even towards the end of 2023, like, they finished 7-6 that year. And I remember Kentucky fans being like, this guy sucks. We're never going to be better than what we are right now with Mark Stoops. And it's like, well, that may be true.
Can be worse.
You can be a whole lot worse.
Yeah. And also, to be fair, and look, they are what they are these last years. And so that's what happened. I mean, it went down, and so, it probably makes sense for everybody to do something new. But they had no NIL money. Like, they had nothing. And I don't know. I'm sure there's other programs that can say the same thing. But in those early days, I mean, he basically publicly, and he was in a big thing with Cal, and then with the AD, and he basically was like I have no chance to compete. And that's still, even with recruiting high school players at that point, it does show up a little bit in the next couple of years too, right? Like, your roster isn't as good. So, not giving him a total pass on that, but it took Kentucky time to realize, oh yeah, I guess we have to put a couple bucks in football, huh?
Yeah. Penn State's still open.
Yeah. I thought they were going to get the JMU guy.
I thought they
He's
were
going
too.
to UCLA.
He's going to UCLA. There's all this speculation around BYU's coach now, and if he could end up at Penn State. Josh Heupel shot that down yesterday with Chris Lowe, saying, I ain't going to Penn State. He's hanging around Tennessee. So I guess you could forget the Heupel to Penn State stuff. We're in the world.
But to be fair, we don't know that Penn State had any interest in
I have no clue.
Yeah.
But that was just some betting market said it was out there. So,
yeah.
But he told Chris Lowe that that's not happening. So I'm very interested to see what happens to Penn State. I mean, you've had all these jobs that have been open after Penn State fired James Franklin that have now found coaches, and Penn State, for whatever reason, has not found theirs yet.
It's really weird. I mean, obviously, like, the Signetti stuff, I think, was real for sure. And then, it was immediately Indiana said, nope, step off. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to know, like, are there some other people working at other places right now that they wanted? And look, I really thought there were some people in college football media who really thought that Penn State was going to be interested in Clark Lee, but I have not seen anything in terms of that being, a situation. So it's weird. And what if they do get Sataki this week? I mean, BYU is another team that could be in the playoff. Well, what happens there? We have another Lane situation.
It's a great question.
And honestly, BYU to me, I guess you can take this to Vanderbilt. BYU to me, like, Vanderbilt should be ahead of BYU.
I agree.
And I'm not saying that BYU should be penalized for losing to Texas Tech if they lose this weekend. Obviously, if they win, they're in. But if they get smoked by Texas Tech like they did the first time, it is a data point.
Yeah.
It is a data point. And it's just like their best win is against a Utah team that also is not good and also should absolutely be behind Vanderbilt.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
And then if you take their coach out,
exactly.
No, they're not in.
615-737-1025, our phone number. I've got a hypothetical that I want to throw out there for Tennessee fans coming up next, that the answer on the surface may appear obvious, but I think it's a little bit more complicated. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby, Stanley, Joe, Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We'll have the Rob rant coming up here in just a few minutes. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Joe, I've got a hypothetical I want to play out with you that I don't know how likely it is, but I guess until there's a ruling on it, we have to at least entertain the possibility, right? We know that Joey Aguilar joined Diego Pavia's lawsuit a couple of weeks ago, essentially trying to fight for another year of eligibility in college football and going back to the junior college stuff, saying that should not count towards the eligibility window. So we'll see. I have no idea what's going to come of that. I don't know if he will be granted another year of eligibility, if they're going to say, hey, that's not happening this time around, and he's going to go try his luck at the NFL. We'll see what happens on that front. My question is, if he is granted another year of eligibility, should Tennessee want him back as their starting quarterback? Now, I think on the surface, Joe, you hear that, and the answer is obvious, right? It's like, well, yeah, of course they would. I mean, he just threw for 3,400 yards and 24 touchdowns, and quarterback was much better this year for Tennessee than it was last year when they made the playoff with Nico Iamaleava. So I hear that. I also look at the stats and I look at the numbers, and they're great for Joey Aguilar. 24 touchdowns, 10 picks, 3,500 yards. I look at the games. He had 2 what ended up being pretty big interceptions in the Georgia game where they lost. We know about Alabama, right? Like, I don't know if they win against Alabama, even if he doesn't throw the pick six, but the pick six right before half is a huge play in that game. I think we all understand that. I mean, that's a massive swing in that game. The Oklahoma game, I mean, he threw for a ton of yards in that game. I think he threw for 393. But if you remember the game, he wasn't very good against Oklahoma. Just a couple of brutal interceptions that he threw in that game. And then there's the second half in Vanderbilt, and I don't put that, a lot on Aguilar, but they just didn't get anything done offensively in the second half there. So in, the big moments that they had this year against the good teams that they played, there were some flaws at the quarterback position. I also look at it this way. One thing, and this is kind of a different way that I'm looking at it. We all know how important next year is for Tennessee. And you just asked Gentry a few minutes ago about, 2 very talented freshmen that they're going to have. And I think that's got to factor into your plan to some degree. Like, that those 2 guys are going to be in the mix for starting quarterback next year. Do you look at your situation, if you're Heupel, recognizing how big next year is for you, and feel like you have to go get a guy who's proven, who has been a starter, who's played a lot of football? Because I will say, the 2 guys that he's brought in that have played pretty good amount of football, and one of them he didn't even bring in, Pruitt did. Hooker looked pretty darn good under Josh Heupel. Aguilar looked pretty darn good under Josh Heupel. And Milton had played some football, but not as much as those 2 guys had played. And the thing that kind of strikes me about that is, we went through a period of time, Joe, where it was like, man, Hendon Hooker, did Hendon Hooker make Josh Heupel at Tennessee? When Nico was struggling and Milton struggled, it was like, did Hendon Hooker make him? And it's like, well, if you look at what Hendon Hooker was before, and frankly, what Hendon Hooker has been after, maybe Josh Heupel deserves a little bit more credit in the Hendon Hooker discussion than we've given him at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar's always put up good numbers, right? At lower levels. Turned the ball over a lot. We knew the flaws coming into it. Nobody expected him to be as good as he was this year. So neither one of those guys, Hooker or Aguilar, are overly, from a pure talent standpoint. Forget the production. Purely talent. Not highly recruited. Wasn't like you're dealing with 5-star guys out there, but they were very productive in this offense. So I wonder what could happen, and I don't know who this would be. What could happen if Josh Heupel went out and targeted a quarterback that has played a lot of football, that is a very talented player out there? Clearly, bringing those type of guys into this offense has worked for him. So where do you stand on the Aguilar front? Let's say he is granted another year of eligibility. Is it as simple as, well, he's the starting quarterback and the other 2 young guys are just sitting behind him next year?
No, I definitely don't think it's that simple. Another thing to always put into these discussions is, okay, how many guys are you paying? because teams don't really pay 3 quarterbacks, right?
Right.
I mean, you have other things you have to do, and like you have to whatever you have to make choices. Everybody does. So if he got it, I would definitely want him back. I would also, and that would be my veteran that I'm going out to get. I'm like, okay, Joey's back, and if Joey's the best, then and he gets better even, and we can clean up a few things, then that's probably your best option. But this is a competition, and these guys are competing. I mean, if these guys aren't, if these guys aren't in a real competition, like you risk losing both of them. You risk losing both of them if you go out and get somebody too. I mean, Brandon on the YouTube chat's like, go get a QB in the portal, whether he comes back or not. So you're talking about 4 guys. You're going to pay someone in the portal. I mean, Aguilar played well enough at Tennessee this year that if he gets that year, he can go somewhere else.
Sure. Yeah.
Someone else will take him too. I mean, he's not going to, and I don't know what they're paying, Brandon or McIntyre, but pretty significant recruits, I mean, some programs are trying to do a little bit more of kind of like incentive-based ideas where it's like, there's a baseline, but then once you become a starter or whatever, you do this or that, then you get, I mean, Pavia came in here making nothing basically, but before that last season was out, he was not making nothing. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. But I like 4 guys, you can't pay 4 guys. So
no, I agree with
but
that.
This is all this is the hypothetical that I'm assuming isn't going to happen, that Aguilar is going to get that year. But yeah, it is interesting. I would definitely want him back if he does. I would also be like, hey, let's see one of the young guys beat him out. Why would
Well,
he sets the standard in the room, but go ahead and we're going to give you a real opportunity to get enough reps to beat him out. Well, probably McIntyre in particular.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think I could be wrong, but I guess I would be, think I shouldn't be, but I would be surprised if Faison Brandon is the starting quarterback.
True freshman, yes. In this offense, in some ways, I think it's easier for quarterbacks, but also I think it's tough for a true freshman.
It's true freshman, and look, I understand he's incredibly talented, obviously, but I mean, Nico was incredibly talented, and he didn't start his first year either.
Right.
So, and I know it's a different situation. They had Joe Milton kind of waiting in the wings, so we'll see. Maybe Brandon is the starting quarterback. I do think this requires Josh Heupel to be really honest with himself right now. Like, how good does he think George McIntyre is? Does he think George McIntyre is ready to be the starting quarterback next year? And that's something I have no way to be able to answer, right? Like, we saw McIntyre basically got in garbage time throughout the year and, did the majority of his work against ETSU. So it's like, okay, how good is he really? I have no idea. But that Josh Heupel would have a better idea of that. So I understand that there's a spring coming up. There's an entire offseason where McIntyre and all these guys can get better and improve. But I think you got to be really honest with yourself right now if you're Heupel, as you're preparing for the portal. Do you feel that confident where you're going to basically potentially tie your future at Tennessee to George McIntyre, who hasn't played yet, being your starting quarterback next year?
Right. Because he got grace. He was going to, I mean, he got grace. As we talked about when Nico left, there's going to be a limitation. Are people still going to be, and people are mad at him right now, which is, again, I'm not saying Tennessee fans are wrong for that, but I think I'm just saying the grace probably runs out a little bit, even if he says, because some fans might say, well, okay, so this is the year you're going with a young guy, and you got to expect some bumps, but it's like, yeah,
I don't think it's going to go over
12-team playoff, man. Yeah. So I think it's a really interesting question. They have seen McIntyre all year in the building. They've seen him on the practice field. Gentry talking about him gaining weight. They have to have some kind of a sense. I mean, I think a redshirt freshman with all the right ingredients could come in and do well. So they got to have a pretty good idea in him. It's probably harder with Brandon. But again, like you said, I mean, if you're Brandon and you think that you're coming in and starting as a true freshman, well, first of all, that's a bad job, I think, of communicating by Heupel and the staff. You got to be real with these kids, right? That's not going to be easy to do. Nico sat the year and was pretty good last year. I know some people don't want to remember it that way. A-Dub Wright says Heupel needs a top QB. He keeps turning trash into polished turds for the NFL. I mean, Nico was a 5-star. Everybody in the world wanted Nico. So, I mean, he's brought in And Brandon, everybody in the world wanted Brandon, right?
But I guess the point on that is, and what I think has got to be a part of his decision making too is are there quarterbacks that are going to hit the portal that are more talented than Joey Aguilar is?
Yeah.
That you target if you're Heupel. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like look, I don't know if this guy fits the bill or not. I mean, heading into the year, he certainly would have. It looks like Sam Levitt going to be in the portal. Do you go try for that if you're Heupel? And that's just a random name I'm throwing out there. Again, I don't know the specifics of who's going to be jumping in the transfer portal and who's not. But that type of guy is what I'm talking about.
He'll be coveted. Also, that guy, you would have quarterback run game, I would think, like better than anybody that they've had, including Nico.
Yeah.
You know, if you had it, do you value that? He's going to command a number.
Yeah.
Sam Levitt is going to command a number.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the decision that you're faced with now if you're Heupel. Like, and again, I think I have no idea what's going to happen with Aguilar. I'm operating under the assumption that he's probably not going to win this lawsuit and he's going to be gone. So if that's the case, you're either going with really young players at quarterback, or do you take a big swing portal-wise at quarterback if you're Heupel? I think it's a really fascinating question with where they're at.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a huge deal, and like Gentry said, like it won't be long before we have an idea here, like what they really think.
No doubt.
And I think it probably maybe a little bit of a comment on what Heupel thinks about his standing.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll have the Rob rant coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll get back into the Titans at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
Hey, Coach, I weaved around the security guard over there. Can you give me 5 minutes to talk, please?
Actually, we're going by Tiger Stadium. I called one person. I called Ed Ogeron.
I told you I would do hot yoga with you anytime you wanted.
Back then, you could just like go bowl and like smoke cigarettes and stuff.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
Hey, I saw Pete Weber last night. It was not the professional bowler. It's an absolute psychopath out there.
That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Why does LSU make the most sense for you right now, Coach?
Hey, man, all I can do is, man, this place just makes me want to talk like you right now.
We started off Monday knowing we're going to win this game.
What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like channeling Ed right now. I was like, I'm feeling him.
Go Tigers.
I don't know what's going on, man, but I'm feeling you right now.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I've got other words I can say, but I'm going to hold those off. It is time for the Rob Rant, brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Rise up to better health. Check them out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net.
Lebowski, baby.
That was good stuff.
I see what you're doing over there.
That was good stuff. Man, the more I hear our Marty Smith impersonations, the more I love them.
We're both pretty good at Marty Smith. We can have a Marty Smith conversation.
Oh, boy. Your Harbaugh Marty Smith is the best one.
Coach Harbaugh, can you spare a square?
Oh, God.
All right. I want to address some things that I've seen on social media in the aftermath of the Titans game on Sunday. As you know, if you were either there in the building or if you're watching the game on TV, not a whole lot of people at Nissan Stadium on Sunday for Titans and Jags. I mean, you looked up and look, I have no idea how many people were actually there. I can just tell you from some of the pictures I saw that Kuharski and others tweeted out, and from the television broadcast itself, who did their wide shots, and you look up and it's like, wow, like the entire upper deck's empty. It's crazy out there. It looked legitimately like the stadium was half empty. It's just what it looked like. I have no idea how many people were there. And I saw not really Titans fans, but I saw some people around NFL circles like take notice of it. And we're like, wow, like Nashville, pretty good sports town. Like, is it that bad with the Titans? And I was like, yes, it is. One thing we should not be doing is getting on Titans fans for not showing up to the game on Sunday to watch this team. And that's before they played the way they played on Sunday, by the way, which was, as Gentry pointed out earlier, maybe the worst it's been. And there are some doozies that they played. It was up there on Sunday with how bad it was. I do not blame Titans fans for 1 second. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I was offered tickets from multiple people to go to this game on Sunday.
And you're like, pay me.
There is nothing else. Like, I would do anything else than show up and watch the Titans and the Jags on Sunday. And look, there are some people that I know. There are some people that I love that show up every week, and they're there all the time, and they were there Sunday, and good for them. And
they're the best.
And they're the best.
Best fans.
And I hope when the day comes that the Titans are good again, and I don't know when it's going to be, but it'll happen at some point. And hopefully when they win a Super Bowl, again, I don't know when that'll be, but hopefully it happens at some point. I hope that those people more than anybody else enjoy it because they earned it. And they are true Titans fans.
No doubt.
But I, for 1 second, am not about to sit here and get on the city of Nashville for not showing up to watch that team. Like, there reaches a point where enough's enough. And you got enough of these people anyway that have already invested in the new stadium that they're buying tickets for and they're preparing for that. You are not going to find me with how bad they've been getting on Titans fans for that stadium being half empty on Sunday. I'm sorry. You're just not.
No, I mean, we're to the point where you're extraordinary. You're an extraordinary outlier if you're sitting through this stuff. Good for you. You are the best fan. You're the best fans. I mean, you're amazing. But people who don't show up, sell out there. That's See, the thing about this last game is apparently Duval isn't excited to travel for their playoff contending team. We don't get a bunch of Jags fans, in here. We get Bills and Steelers and Patriots and whatever fans. We don't get any Jags fans, so it looks worse. I mean, some of the crowds this year obviously have been inflated by the visiting team, right?
Yes.
No, you're 100% right. So you're saying that These are some around the league.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
wow, the crowd's really light in Nashville. And it's like, yeah, it is, man. I don't know if you noticed this. They are awful and have been so for a long time.
Yeah, wow. How about a little context of like how bad it's been for these fans? Because again, we're talking 4 straight seasons with double-digit losses. Someone do the research. I don't have time right now. Like, you're not going to find that a ton. You're not going to find that. In fact, I'm going to look at the Lions history. The crappy Lions who ruined my childhood. I bet you they haven't had too many 4-year stretches of double-digit losses. It's hard to do in the NFL. Very hard.
And this one's going to be well into the double digits. I mean, it's going to be significantly into the double digits.
Yeah. This is all. I mean, if they had 20 games, this team would have had a shot to like get double digits.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's bad. And look, I understand. You know, this is not Sunday's game was the extreme of it. That was as light as I think I've ever seen it in there, you know, outside of like a preseason game. Okay. So I get that. But I think even going back to game 1, and we talked about it, I think it kind of shows you where this fan base is right now. Number one, with all the construction going on downtown, it's an absolute pain in the butt to get down there. It costs you an arm and a leg to park. You got to do all these things. I mean, this is not just a Titans thing. This is a general NFL thing, right? Like the NFL is a tailor-made product to watch on TV. It's a really easy thing to do, to watch on TV. So going back to game 1 that they played at home this year, I mean, it was Cam Ward's debut at home, number 1 overall pick, and the crowd wasn't full. Like there were still some empty seats in the stadium. So that right there kind of showed me is like, well, that's where Titans fans kind of are right now. They are down and out, and the Titans are going to have to do some work. Yes, on the field, they're going to have to win, and if they do that, it'll take care of itself for the most part. But I do think the Titans over the years have not been as good as they could have been and should have been of really connecting with their fan base.
I know that this is, I'm sure the Titans organization already is, sick of hearing a lot of things, but a couple blocks away, they've had a model to me for enhancing whatever the game experience is, whatever the team is doing. I know that the Preds have, like, they've been obviously like pretty good for most of their history, but like that's kind of, and I understand it's different too when you're talking about an arena that size but yeah, I agree. That's something that they have not done well enough, and you hope that they at least are trying to take some new things. They're going to have this awesome new stadium. There's some things that they really need to work on.
Lenny says,
beyond winning,
I'm an independent contractor, got season tickets. I chose to work on Sunday and not go to the game. I would rather make money than go watch that crap. One texter says, I've had tickets since 08. It's the earliest I've ever left a game. So I heard a lot of that at the bowling alley last night too, of people that have been there for a long time. They were like, either I just didn't go or I left at like halftime. That's how bad it was.
Yeah. And I know it's crazy to think that we'd be disappointed by anything the Titans do, but that's the thing. It's like after the previous week and what they did against Seattle, is okay, maybe there's something to watch here. Maybe there is a little bit something here. And then you're like,
complete dud.
Oh, thanks. Another Lucy. Put that ball down for a minute.
Just rip it away.
The kicker will
what a
whiff.
That was hilarious.
What an attempt by Younghoe Koo last night. Good stuff.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like that before.
I mean, I've seen people do that on a golf course. I don't know if I've ever seen an NFL kicker
like
get
a
his
Charles
foot
Barkley
stuck
golf
in the ground.
swing.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Coming up next, I'm going to throw this out there. If we would have told Mike Borgonzi before the season that the Titans would be this bad and that Cam Ward's numbers would be what they are to this point, what would he have said? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We're live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We are taking your thoughts on the Titans. Joe, I want to throw this out there. You know, Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker both, clearly heading into this year, if you paid attention, had an expectation of this team not being very good, right? I mean, I think they tried as best they could. It was kind of like the opposite of the Rand Carthon offseason where they checked every box and hired every coach they wanted, and every draft pick they made was coveted by the rest of the NFL. Like, it was kind of the opposite of that of, you know, they did their best to kind of keep expectations low. And they talked about the only thing they ever really committed to is, man, we just want to see improvement. Like, we want to see improvement. We want to see this team get better as the year goes on, which I think reading between the lines was like, well, this is the team that's got the number one overall pick, a rookie quarterback starting. We know that the win-loss record is probably not the most important thing this year, and they're not going to be very good. So we all understand that. Now, the way that it's played out, they are 1-11. The one win they have is a miracle. They are, for the most part, not overly competitive in most of these games. Cam Ward, as starting quarterback, has completed 59.7% of his passes, 2,351 yards, 5.7 an attempt, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. The good news is he's now only on pace to be sacked 68 times instead of 70. So they did make some progress on that front on Sunday. I would love to know on the Borgonzi front, if you would tell him before the year that it would play out this way, what would he have said? Because I think you've got an expectation of, well, the wins loss is probably not going to be very good this year, but hopefully as the year goes on, you're seeing improvement from the quarterback. You're seeing some pieces that you can build around moving forward. And I think they're seeing some of that at times, but it's nowhere near, like, Cam Ward is not improving at the rate that we thought he could or would heading into the year. They have some foundational pieces, like DK looks like he's going to be a good player. But I don't know about you. I've not seen what I wanted to see from J.C. Latham this year. I've not seen what I wanted to see from Devondre Sweat this year. I mean, Jeffery Simmons is a great player, and it's good to see him be a great player. But beyond that, they just haven't shown a lot. So there's an expectation heading into the year, and then you react to the information that you see while the year is going on. And I would love to know, if you gave him some truth serum, like how much worse this is than maybe Mike Borgonzi even thought heading into the year. And how does he react to that?
Yeah, it's a good question. By the way, real quick, you triggered something in my brain. Did we ever have Big Joe asking Rand Carthon if this team can win a Super Bowl?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Rand, can this team win a Super Bowl? We're going to win it by a lot, actually. We're going to win the Super Bowl by 20 points.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I don't think we ever had that.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's a huge missed opportunity for all of us. No, it's, if you're Borgonzi, obviously you have so much of what's it going to look like with Cam Ward and the coaching together. Like, that's, there's only so much you can, there's so much, it's all wait and see in this league with these quarterbacks, right? But yeah, you probably had some decent expectation that Latham moving to the right side, that's going to work out pretty well. It's a good question. And then I don't know. I mean, maybe he did have like concerns of, for example, Devondre Sweat, like, man, I just don't know. This looks like a bad pick by my predecessor, where they got him and he's just not in great shape. And is he really going to make that much of a difference? I mean, if you're him, did you think that your second round pick was going to do anything?
It's a good question.
Does anybody remember that he's on the team?
Yeah.
Because he was a second round pick last year. As much as we want to credit Borgonzi, he deserves some credit. And I agree with Kaharski that in that building, that's your hope, right? That he's really good. But God, that second round pick might really be a problem.
Could be.
Another second round pick. So if that's the case, you can't put too much shade on the previous second round pick if that's your second round pick.
Sure.
You probably thought that Ridley was going to – you probably thought that Pollard was going to be more like last year. You know that people kind of hit the wall. And I know Pollard actually looked – he might have been their best player other than Simmons on Sunday,
Maybe.
which is wild. but you probably thought you were going to get more there. You thought you were going to run the ball this year with that offensive line, with Skoronski and everything. And again, Skoronski, he's probably up to your expectations or beyond it, right?
Yep.
And still. So I'm sure if you gave him this information right now, everything back then, there would have at least been a little bit of a shudder, like, oh, no. I mean, very few things have worked out better than hoped, and more things than not have worked out worse than hoped.
The expectations were, I think, measured heading into the year, right? Of, hey, man, if this team wins 5 or 6 games and the rookie quarterback shows meaningful progress throughout the year, we'll take that. Like, I think that's where most people had their expectations heading into the year. And it's just been so much worse than that. I mean, forget the coaching part of it, because you fired the coach early in the year, and that part of it is what it is. And you got to, a lot of it's still going to be determined by who is the next head coach you hire and how good are they at their job. But it just feels like, kind of peeling back the layer of this, they're so much further away than we thought they were heading into the year, right? Like, they just have so many holes, and they have some guys that may still end up working out and being good players for them eventually that just haven't done it yet. But I think if you could draw up, other than Cam Ward getting hurt, which has not happened yet, if you could draw up worst case scenario for the Titans this year, it's probably this, right? Like, it's just looked that bad. Your quarterback has had a couple of games where he's been good, but by and large, it hasn't looked very good at the quarterback. And some of that's him, some of that's what's around him. The team is, like I said, basically non-competitive. Like, they're 1-11, and a lot of these games really haven't been all that close. Like, it's a very bad situation in a league where it, as Gentry pointed out earlier, it shouldn't be this bad.
Yeah, and that's like the Cam part of it is like, if you gave Borgonzi the numbers right now, I'm sure it'd be like, oh, that's not good, because the numbers aren't. I mean, 7 touchdown passes at this point, like, it's kind of hard to do, right?
It is,
It's hard to have only 7 touchdown passes after 12 NFL games as a starter for every game and playing every snap. Like, again, I know people are gonna be like, it's not you don't want to put anything on him. That's some people put it all on him, some people none on him, but it's not good. The numbers would be bad. I'd be interested to know if you gave him, I don't know, I guess gave him the film or gave him enough of the film, if it would be way off from what he thought he was getting in Cam Ward or not. I would guess no. But I mean, you can find, you can find some film from this year. If you want to do the good or the bad, you can find some really good film, some really amazing throws, and then you can find a lot of bad too. So, it's, again, at this point, I guess it's like, well, this is what you're doing. This is it.
Yeah, I know. And what I would assume, and again, they're going to have a ton of cap space. We'll see what they do this offseason and how much they can flip the roster, because clearly it needs to be flipped a lot. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we knew that heading into it, but there's a massive amount of work that needs to be done. And that is, while still hoping that J.C. Latham is your right tackle moving forward, while hoping that Tavondre Sweat can be a part of your defense. I mean, there's a lot of things that are up in the air right now that I think heading into the season we were penciling in as being a part of their future, that right now I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like for them this time a year from now.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm trying to think of other, obviously I think the corner, that's the thing too. It's like, then you look at some of the moves. It's like, well, by the way, you have a complete rebuild coming at corner.
What's that? I mean, even heading into
you've actually somewhat created for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, heading into the year, I doubt heading into the year, he was like, you know what I'm going to do a few games in the year? Trade Jarvis Brownlee. Right. But he did.
McCreary.
Brownlee, McCreary. See ya.
See you later.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we probably had an idea that this would be Sneed's last year.
I mean, I'll throw it but another one. I mean, you gave Amani Hooker a new contract, and it's not going very well this year. And it's hard to single Amani Hooker out when everything around him is as bad as it is. But I mean, you'd be blind not to say he's having a bad year out there.
It is truly amazing. Like, just about everything they tried seems to blow up in their face. Like, yeah, McCreary, Brownlee out. Everybody like Sneed. That's not a surprise. but they're out. So there you have to rebuild that position. You extend Hooker. It hasn't gone well. Byard's leading the league in interceptions, which, again, that's way before Borgonzi. But I'm just saying, it's like people move out, they go do well elsewhere. People you decide to stay, no, other than 98.
Hey, they got the punter situation not completely wrong.
There you go. And by the way, there's some of their former kickers are out there doing some. What, Nick Folk?
56-yarder.
56-yarder to beat the
barely though. Did you see it?
Little baby leg. Little baby leg Nick Folk.
He just got over
I mean, it was a worm burner, and it barely made it.
Hey, man, the guy, he's pretty consistent. Just saying.
He is. Let's welcome in Ethan to the program on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ethan, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Good, man.
So I had a question about the tailgating situation at the new stadium, because I mean, part of the reason that I'm not going to any of these games is because I mean, there's no parking lot. My friend used to put on a hell of a tailgate, and a big part of the reason that I go down there is to you see friends, you see people's setups. It's got a communal feeling to it. And now, you shuffle in with all the other people. It's like being at the mall, and then you get to watch a bad game. Even when the team's bad, I still like going down there to see folks. But at this point, like it's not worth it just for the product that they're putting on the field. So I'm curious if they're thinking about, the whole fan community when they're designing this new stadium. And I feel like that does have something to do with the lack of attendance, but curious what you guys think.
Yeah. Thanks for
That's
calling.
a good point.
Yeah. I mean,
tailgating matters.
Look, right now it's hard, right? Because you've got construction going on and, but when the new stadium's up and they've got the new shopping center and all that stuff around it, what's that going to look like? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
I don't, like someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's going to be pretty limited in terms of tailgating. I think the idea is people, like there's, you got Broadway right across the bridge, but also you have some new stuff there. So people, that's,
basically a new
do
entertainment
that.
district. Yeah.
But some people are like, yeah, you know what? That's $12 a beer, and like tailgating, like we can
go to the gas
grill
station.
out
Yeah.
and we can bring a 6-pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that is another problem.
We'll get back into
Add it to the list.
A lot of your thoughts on the Borgonzi Titans front. We'll get more into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
It's not often that a team gets 4 straight home games as you guys did this season. How disappointing is it to kind of go over during that 4-game stretch here at home?
It's very disappointing. The fans are a big reason why, we a lot of us play this game. The excitement they bring, the joy they bring, even the negativity they can bring. That's all part of the job. So, it's just hard for me to, not be able to do all I can do to put my best performance, for the fans and, for the city. But that's just something that, we all got to go through together. At the end of the day, the storm go in and everybody will be the bright side of it.
That's Cam Ward after the loss on Sunday for the Titans. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025.
If Mike McCoy punts on 4th and 2 again, also, I'm going to rip the headset off his head.
If he decides to punt again, I'm going to invite the fans to join me on the field to fight Mike McCoy.
I didn't know people like to go for it. Oh. I was thinking of you, Paul, when I went for it, finally.
Ed on the text line says, it's painfully clear we should have traded out of the pick. We gave up 2 firsts and 2 seconds for this level of quarterback play. And the same people that made that decision are in charge of the next head coaching hire. I have zero faith anyone in that building knows what they're doing. It's from Ed on the text line. Well, they could have an opportunity to trade out of this year's pick, so maybe you can recoup some of that.
That's true. It's all part of the plan. Figure next year you'll get another chance at it, so why not?
Sure, that's what they were thinking at the time.
Yeah.
Indy Ben says, Nashville's starting to price people out of doing things. For example, I found out the hard way and paid $33 for 1 drink at a new music venue downtown.
At a what?
New music venue.
$33?
That's what he said.
I need to know what the drink was.
Yeah.
I mean,
what kind of drinks
believe
do
me,
we have, Indy Ben?
I will complain about drink prices in Nashville. Okay, don't get me wrong, but like $33, dude. That must have been one hell of a elaborate
cocktail.
tropical cocktail.
Yeah. Maybe having a little bit too much fun watching the Colts.
I think, what was it?
Always got to rip Nashville, Indy Ben. Always got to rip Nashville.
I think the tall beer was close to 20, though, at one.
One texter says, Tom Brady looked washed up his last few years with the Patriots with worse weapons than Cam has now. Should we not give him a ton of grace considering that his best weapons are 3 fourth-round skill players? To which I responded, I was like, Brady's last 2 seasons with the Patriots, he threw for like 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns. I think washed up is probably a little bit of exaggeration with Brady.
He looked bad against Titans.
He looked bad against Titans in the last game.
But it was still a little bit better than what we're seeing.
Well, and he said,
from the Titans.
The narrative was, and I guess I get his overall point. The narrative at the time was his age was showing, when in reality it was just the supporting cast. Cam's a rookie with far, far worse weapons and coaching. I mean, I agree with that part of it. Like, I'm not willing to give a referendum on Cam Ward yet in terms of, people saying he's a bust or they screwed up by not taking the draft pick. I mean, we talked about the time. I would have taken the draft pick. We talked about that a billion times.
Yes.
But they didn't. And, I don't think what we've seen from Cam Ward to this year is disqualifying in terms of like he just has no chance to turn into a good player because the situation around him is bad. Now, I will admit that even with the bad situation around him, I would like to have seen more from him so far this year than what we've seen to this point.
I think that's fair. Yeah, for the record, this show would not have fired Mike Vrabel, nor would it have drafted Cam Ward. But the Titans can still get a good coach, and Cam Ward can still become a good quarterback. It is possible.
It is very
even on
possible.
Some of the nice throws, though, with Ward, I do wonder, like, the mechanics still look a little funky.
Yeah, they're weird.
Even the nice throws where it's like, okay, it's kind of sidearm, and he's got his foot, and it, like, kind of goes off to the right, and it's almost like a little like a little flick thing.
It looks a little weird.
Yeah, and it's a nice throw, and it's very accurate, but it was just looks a little mechanically different.
Yeah, and
I wonder if that will be like over time.
It's just hard to assume that'll be overhauled,
Yeah, and will that really affect his accuracy consistently over time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that was number one for me. Not necessarily the mechanics, but just the accuracy. Is it going to be good enough over time?
Yeah.
But there's other stuff too.
There's other stuff too. And again, it goes back to like Borgonzi. I think you've got an idea of all the work that needs to be done with your roster when you take the job. Like Mike Borgonzi took the job and knew that it's the worst team in the league. He's coming in. So there's a lot of work to be done. And now you've drafted the quarterback and there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think this year has gone worse than even they would have thought. And they'll probably never come out and say that. But I mean, there's no doubt this year has been worse than anybody could have imagined. They're that bad. Like we're talking about, and people are asking, I think, legitimate questions about, like, is this one of the worst teams in the history of the league? That's how bad they are. So I can't just brush that aside. Like Borgonzi, there's a big job ahead of him, and they were always going to have a ton of cap space heading in this offseason. We'll see what they do with it. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to, can they make the right hire at head coach, and can he draft well? Like, can he make the right decisions in the draft moving forward to build franchise players? But there's a ton of work to be done, and it feels like a multi-year project. And I think if you would have told Titans fans that heading into the year about how far away it feels like they are 12 games into the year, that would have been incredibly disappointing.
No, I agree. I think we as a show, as a station, as an overall national media, picked them to win, 4, 5, 6 games?
Yeah.
Probably, right? Not to be just absolute ass.
Yeah.
And you think about this, you play it forward. A year from now, if it's like, if they're a 3-4 win team and Cam Ward isn't markedly better, like a year from now, we could be talking about Borgonzi. I mean, it's crazy. Again, probably should be Brinker at some point. He should be in line there, but it's a huge offseason to not get to 9-10 wins, but to look a lot better and to look like a legit football team. The cap space needs to be used, and the draft needs to be amazing.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's not, and you're talking about, not only are we going to be talking about Borgonzi, we're going to talk about Ward.
But that's what it is.
Right.
That's why we're talking about Borgonzi,
Yeah.
because if we're sitting there like, okay, maybe this kid doesn't have it, which happens fast. We just saw it with Will Levis. One pretty bad year. Yep. See ya.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then like you're all of a sudden, what you've done as a GM is fireable. It's crazy, but it's true.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. We will get into updated Heisman odds coming up next. Where does Diego Pavia stack up? We will get into that. Take your thoughts. This holiday season, 1025 The Game, looking out for the kiddos. We want to donate a bunch of stuffed toys to the Nashville Children's Alliance to be given to kids this holiday season. But we cannot do that without you. Join us at a Dunkin' location near your neighborhood the week of December 8th through the 12th to drop off a stuffed toy that a child will love. You can find the locations at thegamenashville.com/toy. Again, thegamenashville.com/toy. We'd also like to shout out the Metro Nashville Police Department for their help with this promotion as well. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Couple thoughts to get you on the Titans before we get into the Heisman stuff. Richard on the YouTube chat says, as far as J.C. Latham, I wonder if moving him to right tackle messed up his head, since left tackle is considered the position a better athlete plays. Do you think there's a confidence issue with J.C. Latham?
Okay, so wait. So the idea being that because they moved to the right, but they're saying that I'm not a good athlete.
I guess.
Yeah, I think we're reaching there. The whole thing with him is he played right tackle at Alabama, but Bill Callahan and those. No, he's left tackle. Okay, so he wasn't very good last year. I mean, he also admittedly was way out of shape by the end of the year. I don't know, man. It's worrisome with him. Again, I mean, he's essentially been called out by multiple veterans. Mental errors out there and just not very good.
Well, and he's got some really bad snaps. And look, you're not going to be perfect playing tackle, right? Like when you're going up against Josh Hines Allen, and God bless them when they're going up against Myles Garrett this week. Like, we know you're not going to win all of those, right? There have been some, though, where it's just been like that. The Spears play the other day, it looked like he didn't know what he was doing out there. And Spears just got up in his face and yelled at him after it. As Blake Bedingfield pointed out at paulkorsky.com, like Spears is getting in his face after. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and that happens because, again, that tracks with everything else. Like, people are mad at him on this team.
Yeah.
So, like Ultra BMW on YouTube says Latham seems to not give a damn as a main issue. It's hard for me to believe that he doesn't give a damn. Again, he did do a great job getting himself in shape in the offseason. I mean, I don't buy that he doesn't give a damn, but there's a disconnect, and he's not responding well to being held accountable, is what it seems like. And so, yeah, look, I mean, the guard thing, I would say that it's not completely off the table at some point. That he might end up being a guard. There were people in the draft process that thought he might actually end up being a guard in the NFL. So
that will jump out this window.
Just both tackles played in college, moving him to guard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of college tackles who play guard.
But,
like Skronsky was always going to be a
not
guard,
that we're drafted 7th and 11th or not.
Yeah, you can't do that high in the draft and switch him in positions like that. And Latham never played left at Alabama.
No,
I wonder if he was one of the. I don't want to speculate too much. If he was just one of those college kids who was bigger and stronger and faster and could get away with not trying as hard in college.
Well, it's an interesting break. Like I brought up a piece that Bedingfield does at paulkoharski.com. And, I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing, but he goes into a pretty detailed background of J.C. Latham. And he talks about, some of the red flags that he's seeing. One of the things he says, second-year man, top 10 draft choice, J.C. Latham, couldn't block for the pass or the run in this game, which is not good. But he was talking about, there were some flaws that Latham had coming into the draft process that the Titans just didn't seem to really care about all that much, and yet here they are, and they're dealing with him. Like he's like giving up power rushes, but he's also giving up pressures and tackles in the run game. And he says J.C. Latham is becoming a major liability who has lost confidence in himself. That's what Bedingfield says.
So to the initial question of the confidence. I mean, I think it is a confidence issue because he's playing poorly and because he's getting called out for it, and now it's become a thing. That's where it is, not the move. But I would also, to what Ian just said, I've said this before. Look, Nick Saban, just like all these coaches, oh, yeah, this guy's great. Yeah. Nick Saban was like, basically, I'd like him to marry my daughter. He's an amazing – like, the intangibles are off the charts for this dude. He crushed the interviews. He was a leader at Alabama. So that's not it. It's not like, they took a chance because this on a talented turd or something. Like, this guy was like high marks in terms of that stuff. But I think he's lost confidence. And again, I don't think he's responding well to some people being upset with him. And again, basically, he's got to figure it out, man.
Well, here's the one thing about
that's just a big, big problem. They can't afford to have that as a big problem.
Well, I don't disagree with what you're saying there about, the background that he had heading into all this. But like you watch him play, and those two things just don't add up, right? Like it's just there's some sort of disconnect going on. Like Bedingfield says, he doesn't block to the whistle consistently, but he blocks until he thinks or feels that the play is done, oftentimes looking behind him to see if the play is finished. Like, that should be a pretty correctable thing, right? Like, you block until somebody tells you to stop blocking. That's what I need you to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think it, like, you can be a guy that everybody loves and he's accountable and whatever, he's a leader, but then you get to this league sometimes and you get your ass kicked. And I mean, this league can make people, I hate to say this word, but like this, soft is probably not the exact word, but like it can make cowards of people, you know? And so I don't know. Clearly he's just not reacting well to something. And I definitely think the confidence thing is pretty apparent.
Well, and at this point we're 12 games in, right? I guess I don't really have any illusions now that in the month of December and the early part of January that it's going to get a whole lot better. So what do you do about that if you're going back to the Borgonzi discussion? I mean, there's so many needs. You'd be hard-pressed to sell me that based on everything that they need, that you can afford to be drafting tackles that high this year. Having said that, like if the level of play you're getting from your offensive line next year isn't better than what you're getting right now, which, by the way, is a conversation we keep having about this team, then you're going to be running into some of the same problems that they've got. And look, I know that, the sack number by itself is a flawed argument because, I think Sunday's a pretty good example. Some of the sacks that he took were definitely on Cam Ward. Like, he's got to get rid of the football. And that's been the case all year. So it's not just an offensive line thing, but the bottom line is heading into the year, one thing we talked about was where you spent $20-some-odd million per year on Dan Moore. You got a 7th overall pick at right tackle. Skoronski, to his credit, played well this year, but you got a center that is coming off an injury that you gave top of the market dollars to the last offseason. And then you brought in this veteran that's been a really good player throughout his career at right guard who has totally fallen off a cliff. And their offensive line, while not as bad as it has been, is still bad.
Yeah.
And that's where you are if you're Borgonzi right now.
Really, Mandor's been kind of spared here in this discussion. So good job. You're not always awful. Congratulations, starting left tackle. No, it's just look around, man. Look around the league. There's way more bad offensive lines, I would say, than good offensive lines, or at least like pretty bad offensive lines than great offensive lines.
Yeah.
It's always going to be where you start in football. Can you win up front or not? And so it makes for some really tough choices. Like, you can keep going the free agent route and getting it's not going to get much better than Dan Moore in free agency. You can get a guard and stuff like that, but you really have to use valuable draft capital to fix an offensive line, which they've done. It's just that they keep getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Latham can't be them getting it wrong. Like, if that is the case, I have no idea how long we're going to keep talking about this, but we're just going to keep talking about
this.
And
I just, Kuharski said a couple of weeks ago with us that if he was Borgonzi, coming out of the trade deadline, you'd sit Latham down and be like, hey, man, like, whatever you got in you, I need to see it. Like, I need to see it in the second half of this year. And look, I have no idea what conversations Borgonzi's had with Latham, but the bottom line is it's been way too inconsistent, and you're nowhere close to the growth you hope to see in year 2 of him as a starter, as a 7th overall pick. And we're going to, at this point, if the season ended today, we'd be concerned as all get out heading into next year about Latham at right tackle. And that's a horrible spot to be in when you just drafted that guy 7th overall with everything else that's wrong with this team. And that's what I was scared of heading into the year. We talked about it a billion times, that he needed to be a great player by the end of this year. He's not going to be that. So,
no.
At this point, like, can he turn into a good player? Which, again, is not acceptable for the 7th overall pick, but I'm starting to get to the point with him where I just take it at this point.
If he's a good player, then you're not having to use a 1st or 2nd round pick on a tackle, so great.
Yeah.
But he's far from that right now.
615-737-1025. We will get into Diego Pavia and the Heisman Trophy. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar. Rexrode just ran out of the studio with 15 seconds left in the break and still got water in time. Look at him.
I mean, it's
like a fourth of
it's not a lot of water, but it's enough to
get you through the segment.
Keep it going. That's right.
Ian said, wow, he waited until he got 10 seconds left. He's running out.
Yeah, that happens.
Do we have an update? You were talking about this yesterday that you were curious to see.
Yep.
The Heisman poll at The Athletic, which does feature some Heisman voters.
Yes.
What do we make of where that is now? And What do we think as we sit here today, December the 2nd, before conference championship weekend, of Diego Pavia and the Heisman Trophy?
So
is this a real shot that he's got to win this sucker?
So we got 26 voters, and most, if not all, have Heisman votes. Last week, Pavia got up to 5 first-place votes. This week, he is leading the way with 11 first-place votes. Now, he does not lead the poll. Fernando Mendoza of Indiana, 9 first-place votes. He has 13 seconds. Pavia has 7 seconds. Pavia has 5 thirds. Mendoza has 3 thirds. That is 56 points for Mendoza, 52 points for Pavia. Then you have a huge gap to Jeremiah Love with 23, and then Julian Sain with 18. And I need to find out my 4 coworkers who voted Julian Sain first. I just think that's just the laziest thing ever, and I don't mind calling them out. And if I find out who they are, I will say them on the air.
There we go.
I just have to figure out how do I find it out,
Is it a hot take?
I got to be sneaky on the Slack.
This probably is a hot take, but I'm going to say it anyway. Is it a hot take to say that Julian Sain probably doesn't even need to be invited to New York? He's like the 5th best player on his team. He's a great player. And by the way, I think he's going to end up being really good. But if you watched Ohio State play, he's a good player. But, man, he's not had to deal with a whole lot of adversity so far.
He's had no game pressure, and he has the best defense, which is a big friend to a quarterback.
Yep.
He has 2 receivers who aren't just going to play on Sundays. They're going to, be really good on Sundays. I'm sorry. He's good. No disrespect to him. He can't win the Heisman. He shouldn't be in New York. Mendoza should be there. Pavia should be there. Love should be there. I would put Arvell Reese of Ohio State and Reuben Bain might be my other 2 guys who should be there. Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech. I mean, I'm fine with Jeremiah Smith too, by the way. His numbers aren't insane, but I mean, if you want to just talk about best players, I still think, he's right there. Pavia, this tells me Pavia has a real chance to win this sucker. For the most part, these staff polls, obviously there's way more, this is just a small sample size, but it's usually pretty close to how it ends up. Pavia's got a chance to win this thing. This weekend's important. I think that if Mendoza is amazing and leads Indiana to a win over Ohio State, I think he's going to win the Heisman.
I would agree.
I think if Ohio State wins, then I think Pavia is going to win the Heisman. I think it's almost that simple.
Let me ask you this. What if Ohio State wins and Sayin throws for about 315 and 4 touchdowns?
Yeah, you never know, but I think there's enough people who use their brains who can, again, see, you cannot even make the case that he's one of the top 3 or 4 players on their team. So I think that you're right. If he's unbelievable. Again, he had great numbers against Michigan. I promise you, I'll use my left arm and throw that touchdown pass to Carnell Tate against Michigan. Okay. He seriously, Michigan has talent on defense. They're a very they are one of the paper tiger teams. If they play Vanderbilt in the bowl game, Vanderbilt will destroy them. They're not very good, but they have talent on defense. Julian Sain stood around and made sandwiches in the pocket Saturday. It's incredible. Ohio State is just, it's a wagon.
They're probably going to win the national championship again.
Yeah, I really hope not, but yeah, they might.
Is that who you would pick as your favorite for both of you guys right now?
I think they're the best team, clearly. And so Saturday's going to be interesting. There aren't stakes for these things, in terms of they're both going to get buys. But that's when you use buy. It's in a tournament.
Oh, good.
But it is very interesting to me. It's going to be very interesting to see if Ohio State's as good as I think they are, because they might just take Indiana apart. And I mean, I'd like to be wrong. I hope
What's
it's a good
the line
game.
in that game?
Don't tell me. I'll guess Ohio State by 7.5.
The line for that game is 4.5. Ohio State.
Those Hoosiers, man. A lot of respect for the Hoosiers. No respect for Vanderbilt. Maybe Vanderbilt just needs to be in the second year of being really good. Next year, then they'll get respect. But the Hoosiers are good. But Mendoza, if he beats Ohio State, then I think it's going to be hard to. I think he's going to win it.
By the way, I'm looking at FanDuel right now, and there's obviously conference championship weekend coming up. You got all the lines for those games. You've got Army Navy next week, which they've got a line for.
Yep.
And the only other line on the book right now on FanDuel Sportsbook beyond those two weeks is LSU Ole Miss in November of 2026. If you're curious, LSU's a 1.5 point favorite on the road.
Oh, well, good to know.
Let's just go ahead and throw that on the books.
Yeah, all right. So that's Lane, and then it's Lane coaching and Lane's quarterback at Ole Miss now playing for him at LSU.
How many
against Ole
people
Miss.
a year out are betting on LSU and Ole Miss?
My goodness, that's funny.
That may be
Some.
that may need to be when you call the hotline. Like if you're betting on LSU Ole Miss almost a calendar year out, that might be when you need some help.
My goodness, that's wild. By the way, I'm in the text line. Thanks, Chase.
That's good.
Chase got me in.
He's back.
Is Chase trying to keep me out of the text line because I'm being too mean to people? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
He finally
Have you been going through a streak where you've been mean to people on the text line?
I mean, I don't think so. I think I'm fine.
What's your guess on Georgia Alabama line?
My guess would be Georgia by 1.5.
That's close. It's Georgia by 2.5.
Okay. Even though Alabama went in there and beat them, I think Georgia is playing better football now than Alabama is.
I'm interested to see how that one goes. That has been that's been the one team that Kirby, for the most part, has just not been able to figure out for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's been both under Saban and DeBoer now, too.
Yeah. That's the thing. It actually is a big deal. It's a big deal for them just because of that, because it's Bama. Like if it was Texas A&M, it'd be like, oh, please just get us out of here.
Yeah.
But I actually do think it's a big deal. Matthew Nashville, Stetson Bennett 2.0 talking about saying. Now, look, the difference is I think Sayin is going to be like an NFL. Like Sayin's going to be a good NFL
high
quarterback.
Pick.
Yeah. But again, this isn't about the NFL picks. Best player in college football is Diego Pavia. And I think he's got an actual real shot to win this sucker. And I got a topic idea for tomorrow. I've already put on the board.
We'll get into that.
Related to that.
So we're going to get college football playoff rankings tonight. And Joe, my guess is we're probably going to find out tonight that Vanderbilt's not getting in the college football playoff, but we will see. And I know the official rankings don't happen until next week.
Poor Vandy. 10 wins, maybe the Heisman Trophy winner, best player. No playoff.
Look,
the committee needs to take him
we
seriously.
could be surprised tonight. Vanderbilt's making their push. You never know what's going to come out of that room in the committee. But, with them not having any more games and any more, data points heading into next week, if they're not in tonight, probably not going to be in next week at that point. So,
yeah,
I guess we're going to find out tonight.
Yeah. Now, maybe BYU lose their coach, Penn State.
Maybe
get them out of the way.
They just bounce Ole Miss.
Bama loses by 100 to Georgia. Get them out of the way.
Maybe they change the rules and get Tulane out of there. That'd be nice.
No. We don't need that.
That does it for us today. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.